big bottle of caffeine.
That's very nice. All right. Thank you so much for being here, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kyler Anderson. I am the community manager for Neureal, and I'm going to be leading the live stream here. The live stream is going to take roughly an hour, and I'm going to pass you over right now to our wonderful chief architect, Will, so that he can introduce himself. Go ahead, Will.
I'm Will Bound, one of the
Mic off.
architects, original founders of Neureal, and I have with me Jordan uh, over here, Jordan Miller, who is one of the other of the three. He's here, over here. You might be able to hear him in
Mic
the
on.
background.
Yeah, just slightly. Fantastic. We're glad to have him again. How you doing today, Will?
Pretty good.
Fantastic. So just so everybody here knows, the next Neureal live stream, we're going to do it next Saturday for now, right, Will? That's Saturday at 7 p.m. again. That's the best time we've got so far on the polls. But if
Yeah.
you're out there
Oh,
watching right now, and if you're watching after we do this again, please go take our poll. We're going to have that touched up as a button at the very end of this video where you can just click it and go take our poll for what time you'll be able to watch the Neureal live stream in future so that we can make sure to actually peg it during a time you can be here because we want you guys to ask your fantastic questions. All right. I think that's our introduction taken care of, Will. Do you have any project updates you want to give for us? Jen says that she's going to be here in roughly 15 minutes.
great. Um, I'm not sure.
Well, I
Just from
think
my point of view, you have some laid out or something?
I do. I have quite a few little updates that are happening laid out. We're in the process of our facelift right now. We're not quite ready to announce when that's going to be done yet, but just know that it is being done, and we're very excited about it. Um, What else? We have a need right now for all of the members of our community to go head into our task list. We released our task list last week. I'm going to have another button for the task list at the end of the thing. It's a Google document that lists all of the many things that Neureal could really use from our community right now, and that if you do a good job and it's of value to the community, we may be willing to give you a reward. And we show you inside that document how to submit yourself for a reward for that. Is there anything you want to add to that, Will?
No.
Particularly this week, we have a need for some graphic designers. So if you're out there and you've got some graphic design skill, please give us an email. I believe it's info@neureal.net. All right. Any housekeeping you wanted to take care of before we move forward, and then I'll have you do your section that I asked you to do beforehand.
Nope.
Fantastic. All right, then. So, what I'd like to do right now is we've had a whole bunch of people that have had a whole lot of questions this week, Will, about how our actual token generation event public sale is going to work. And so, I think it would be fantastic if you could just take a moment and go through that with us.
You mean yeah, it's a bunch there. I think we're going to it's in flux right now,
Oh,
so
okay.
we'll probably talk about it. We do have some ideas. There's some new stuff that come up, but um, we've been designing something. I need to jump in and do it ASAP.
Oh,
So I need to get into the code, which is going to change a lot of what we end up doing based on um, based on what I can actually implement in code that's secure.
makes sense.
So so we need to flesh out that stuff before we really go into deep depth about it. We do have the stuff that we have already,
Yeah.
and that's our general plan that lays out a potential
Mic off.
solution that we're looking at, but that may be changed because of uh, particular technical issues we may have and being able to pull off some of it. But I'm confident that we will figure out something that is beneficial for the project and for the people that pre-buy the token. Um,
Mic
so
on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for going through that with us, Will. All right. Let's see. If you are in the chat right now, I'm trying to access it because I had it popped up here just a second ago and I don't anymore. Go ahead and drop your questions. You can also drop any questions that you have for us throughout our period as we're streaming here onto the Telegram. If you're not a part of the Telegram community yet, I really advise you to head in there. We've had a lot of really fantastic conversation happening in there the last couple of days. I've been pretty proud of that. How about you, Will?
yeah, it's awesome.
But head on over there. We've also got an announcement-only channel because I know that a lot of people that aren't so comfortable with Telegram don't like having pop-ups happen every couple of minutes. So hop into the group, hit mute so that you only have to be a part of it when you want to, and it's not pinging your phone every couple of seconds. But head over to our announcement channel, which you can find pinned to the top of our Telegram group, and that's going to just give you just the announcements. Like for instance, our stream today, when a new article comes out featuring Neureal, anything that you're going to want to keep your eyes open for. So we also want to make sure that you head to the very top of that announcement channel and give us your email, because we're about to start doing a twice monthly email that's going to update you on everything that's happening in Neureal and all the little calls out to the community that we need. For instance, right now, if you can lay your hands on some NVIDIA 1080, actually Will has the exact model numbers, but the ones with the 11 gigabits of RAM, we want to hear from you. We could really use those for a couple of projects we've got working on. Let's see. Hey, Will, as long as we've got a break while we're waiting for Jen so that she can pitch us her little update, do you want to go over the what that one really good question that I posted into the channel? I'm going to go ahead and read it off again here real quick, but I got this on Reddit, and this one person asked like 5 or 6 just fantastic questions that I'll go through. But the first one is, so regarding machine learning on distributed computing, data scientists often work with data sets taking up terabytes of space stored conveniently either on local, I don't know how to pronounce this, but Hadoop servers or a cloud service like AWS or Azure. How does Neureal handle efficiently transmitting large quantities of data like these across the broad network?
So
Mic off.
that's assuming that you need to. So there, whoever is asking a question is assuming
Mic on.
that that in order to have a large scale contribution to a particular purpose, that you actually have to have all the data available to every person that is contributing to that, and that's just not true.
That's absolutely right, and I think that it's basically it's a fundamental question that I get asked a lot, and I think that it's a really good example of if you understand how Neural itself actually works. There's individual predictors that work on the network, and they're going to have access to what the data they believe is useful, but the whole network doesn't have to have access to all the data. And in fact, different predictors having access to different data is part of what makes the network more efficient. Isn't that correct, Will?
Yeah. So if it required
Mic
everyone to have
off.
every bit of data, then you wouldn't. Number one, that's redundant. It becomes redundant. It's just redundant data. If I'm looking at one piece of data, if I'm trying to predict the price of gold, right? I may look at the price of gold, but I don't need to look at like I only okay. So if I only have access to the price of silver or some sort of information from, like, let's say it's like when is the gold, like predicting gold is pretty interesting. My family was gold miners. Anyway, so they get the gold out of the ground. Let's say some company found a bunch of gold somewhere, right? Like they're prospecting around. My
Mic
grandpa
on.
used to do this, and he'd find some place, and then he'd set up a mining operation, and he'd get a bunch of gold, right? If that happens, that's going to change the price of gold, and so the person that has access to that information is going to have a better chance of predicting that price, right?
Right.
But the thing is that most people think from a personal standpoint. Like if I'm trying to predict the price of gold, I need to know all the data, like personally. Okay. So if that was the case, if I knew all the data of all the miners and what they were doing, and these guys, made some gold or found some gold, and these guys didn't, I would have the upper hand with someone else trying to predict it. I would be able to get more accurate, right? But this is the key thing about Neureal, is that I can predict the price of gold, right? Knowing that this thing is gonna that this company is gonna produce some into the market, and I'm gonna push up the price. The price I predict is gonna be higher than other people, right?
Right.
Well, guess what? my price is now on the chain. That means that other people can look at my price and include it in their prediction.
But only the relevant part of that, and not all the superfluous data that came before it to go into that portion of it, correct?
What do you mean?
Never mind. I think I'm going somewhere else. I got distracted midway through because Jen's trying to join and she's having a little bit of trouble. So I came back into it and was trying to piece that together. Sorry, Will.
That's okay. Well, anybody listening, and people listening can kind of try to follow my train of thought. So, so that information that they used, where they punched up the price,
Mic
other
off.
people can see that happen, and they can include it in their prediction. So if as a group, you're all, it's what it's called as an ensemble. And so if you have, and I mean, people use it in data science all the time, because the issue is that different algorithms are going to be better at predicting different things depending on the time and the situation.
Mic on.
And so, like, if you have everybody submitting a prediction and everybody else can read their prediction, then they're going to have an effect. The whole thing is going to predict better as a collective over time. So, and not right away. I mean, any most data scientists too today, the way data science is done today is people look at historical data and they make a prediction about the future, and they make a model, and then they give up. Right? The model is supposed to work into the future.
Right.
Where like online learning is not very used in the data science world. It's all about like events, because that's how humans think. We think as humans, we're like, and in fact, a lot of the examples I saw in the Telegram chat the other day were very focused on events. They weren't focused on like data streams. And so, the use cases that people come up with, they're always thinking like, I'm going to predict when I'm going to die, or I'm going to predict, who the, and so prediction markets gather that information. That's like human type of scale and human type of prediction. But the thing is that most data in the world is not, doesn't work that way. That's like that's what would be predicted. It's like we are prediction engines ourselves. Like that's what we are, and that's what we do. We predict the future.
Yeah.
And so we come up with these events, right? And so the AI will do the same thing. It'll come up with events, but to get there, like it's a continuous thing, and it can do things we can't. For instance, it can sit there and watch it 24/7, something, which we as human beings can't do as an individual human. Like
Absolutely.
we could be like a bunch of shifts or something. Oh, you're watching it, I'm watching it. On the off, we have 3 shifts. Me, you, and Jen. We watch the market. We're like, and then it covers the thing, right? If we're all kind of like at the same level or something, right? Anyway, but the AI can watch it constantly. It can be there for live data, and it can see things on a scale that we can't see, like and have a more open mind and not have the limitations that we do. And so it can give us the value of being limitless, right? By telling us what it thinks and being able to see everything that we can't, or see things we can't. Did I talk about on the live stream going black swan hunting?
You know what? You haven't yet. No. That was actually just you and me talking beforehand when we were discussing Cameron's question, and we kind of we talked about what a black swan was, but we didn't talk about going black swan hunting. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So a black swan is the thing that you can't predict. So you can, if you have a bunch of data, you're like, okay, I have massive amounts of data
Mic
on
off.
Hadoop or whatever. I got all this data, and I want to predict like what's going to happen, right?
Mic
Or
on.
something, right? So you have a limited view. Like even if you have a ton, you have all this data, you still have a limited view. Like you're limited. Because of those limited views, and just with the human condition, we cannot predict. There's things we can't. We just impossible for us to predict. And those are black swans. So,
can you give us an example?
there's a lot of them in history, like certain hurricanes. Like there's no way. Like we can predict that. There was like like the stock market crashed. Who predicted? I mean, I don't know. Like things we didn't predict. Like it's just
Black
the
Monday,
things we
or
didn't predict.
what was it? Black Monday.
That
That's
song?
a perfect example.
Yeah,
In fact, we still not only did we not predict it, we still don't know what caused it.
yeah. And so in hindsight, a lot of times the black swans in hindsight we're like, oh, well that makes sense. But sometimes we don't even know that. We're like, how the heck did that even happen? So it's just the limitations. But if you have this added capability, this machine that the machines that sit there and just watch and chug and try to gain value and make insights and see out enough of the data, they have the potential as a collaborative, like using a blockchain to collaborate, like for a purpose, which is what we're doing in Real with prediction. They have the potential to really be able to find those things that we can't see and predict those things
So
that
you said something
we
kind
as
of
humans can.
interesting, Will. You said that, and I agree with you because I definitely fall prey to this all the time. We as humans are really focused on really finite set events, right? Like when we're talking about our predictions and online learning. And I want to clarify this for anybody who's out there in the audience, and this is the first time you're really tuning in. When we talk about online learning, we're not talking about, say, Kaplan University. Um,
All right.
we're talking about a completely different model of learning AIs. And why don't you go into that for a little bit, Will? Like
Um,
what online learning is? Why don't you define that for us?
but online learning is where your model is itself is changing constantly. So it's normally as a data scientist, you have a set of data which includes, like I said before, includes the history. You have a bunch of data and you want to predict the future of it, or gain some other value. Maybe you want it categorized. Maybe you want it like detected for something. Like some sort of detection for like cameras that sit there and watch. For people, right? And
Yeah.
so normally you would train that model and you're done, right? And then you use it. So you train it to a certain level of accuracy that you can get from the data you currently have, and then you're like, okay, this is
And then it's a
uh,
set. And then it becomes like an entity, right? Then it's a thing.
yeah, and it works. It doesn't like change itself. It's just the model that detects that. Like the one they were talking about that the CEO of NVIDIA was talking about. Like there's a model out there that can detect and understand flowers like way better than humans.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh,
So we were listening to that. So this model it looks at a picture of a flower, any flower. You just show you here's a picture. Here's a flower.
Charging
Send it in
battery.
from your picture off the. You're out in the boonies, like pictures. You're like, here, take a picture of flowers. Send it to this guy. It can figure out what it is with higher degree of accuracy in way faster time than any human.
yep, because a
Oh,
human.
and it's a machine that sits on your countertop.
Yeah, it's tiny. And
Yeah.
the thing that really blew me away about this is, like, I've done plant classification for before. If anybody's like kind of obsessed with science like I am, you know the classification books and how long that takes for a human to have to go through and look at different pieces of the flower and the different plant to be able to figure out exactly what it is. This thing does it after training, of course, near instantly. But the training course, even didn't they say that they only trained it like 4 hours before the presentation or something? Will, it's it's unbelievable.
No, that's not true.
No, was that not it? I thought he was saying that it
No,
had a limited exposure to that specific set of flowers that was in there before the thing. But
no, they
maybe I
had no
was
exposure.
gotcha.
They had no exposure to the flowers before.
Oh wow.
Zero exposure to the flowers.
Oh wow. Even cooler.
That's what I'm saying. It did it better than any human, and it did it real time, faster,
Yeah, anybody
and
who's
better
interested
than.
in that, I'm going to link that in the Telegram group shortly afterwards, I think.
That was a great. I loved his presentation.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
it's so worthwhile to go watch. Yeah, I'll
It
just link
was.
that in the Telegram group afterwards. Yeah,
I
I've
wish I
got.
was there to see it in real life.
When
Kind of
was
see
it?
us in Vegas. I wanted to go this year because they had a lot of AI stuff there. I really wanted to go. Anyway, so to answer that question, that is the traditional. Just add more to it. That's a traditional way to do AI, and you create these models, and these models can be very powerful. And so that model like can predict any flower, like better than humans, like faster. Okay. So this is the key. So this is the black
Mic
swan thing.
off.
What if like a new species of flower was to evolve and somebody took a picture of that? What would happen? That model would wrongly classify it. That's what would happen.
Mic on.
Because it's only set to what the current definition of flower is.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it only understands what it learned about.
Interesting.
It would have a little bit of a hard time, but it's like like I've seen, like there's tons of examples of this. Like if you don't train it, like if you train it and then like, there's some weird thing, like the guy with the woman with it said this woman was a man because she had kind of a scruffy
couple of whiskers, yeah.
Yeah, whiskey. But like it's like and then the bot that they let loose like on the freaking internet.
Oh, you talking about Microsoft's chatbot Tay?
Yeah.
Oh
Tay.
my god.
It's like, come on, It's like poor little baby AI, and it's like, oh, oh.
Yeah, 4chan got
Nazis,
on that one really quick.
You're all blah 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 blah, and like imagine it's like an innocent little baby, and you're telling it all this stuff. This is how the world works, blah blah blah. It's just gonna be like,
Oh yeah, and there was I don't know if you knew this. I'm sure you did, but there was a manipulation attack on that one that was actually launched by some of the more, shall we say, trollier portions of the internet to specifically try and mislead Tay and mistrain Tay to misact.
Oh, mislead, yeah.
Oh, that was a beautiful experiment.
I know, that was crazy. Anyway, so that's that. So the efficiency. So so how do you compare? So the idea is, well, hey, if I have this data and I've got this like big setup, and have access to all this compute.
Mic off.
And because I have a high bandwidth connection, I'm going to do better with that data because I have that high bandwidth connection, right? Then if I don't
Mic
have
on.
it, and there was another article where a guy was talking about that. It's like, well, how can you do this if you have such a slow bandwidth? The problem is the bandwidth, right?
That was the deep brain chain rebuttal, right?
I don't know if it was, but it was a guy talking about it on an article I read.
I thought it was the article that I
science.
linked you to about deep brain chain, where a guy was saying that he'd asked those questions.
Yeah, it could be. So the thing about that is that you replace the inefficiency of the speed of the network with just massive amounts of compute to replace that. So, and not only that, but access to even more data points. So they're more than you could ever get as a single person. So or a single company. And everybody in data science, like when you get to the end of it, they're like, yeah, we just don't have the data. We don't know where to get it, or this guy has it, or that guy, we can't get it, right?
Right.
And so that there's an incentive for people to use their data to predict, and they're going to add to that pot, and they're going to be able to add to that pot in a way that, can create. I mean, it's not as efficient as, if you had these huge bandwidth pipes, but it's definitely going to go out eclipse because it's unlimited. It's going to out eclipse anything anybody could do in a centralized way. You just look at Bitcoin. I mean, here people try to make the world, supercomputers.
Charging battery.
So I mean, even that's another reason to watch that video, because the NVIDIA CEO lays it all out really well, and I'd suggest watching that video because he talks about it this way. He's like, okay, right now you can go and get a server, and he shows that picture, remember, of like the 20 racks, or something. He's like, this is what it takes to get compute power, and it shows like 20 racks of machines, right?
Yep.
And he's like, we replaced that with this, and it's this little thing, But no, he pulls up the chip. It's like on a chip.
Yep.
It's a chip on a board, and that's what Bitcoin did.
With
They went
ASIC
from
cards.
with ASICs. It gave an incentive model for people to create ASICs to spend millions of dollars on these custom chips that were super efficient.
Yeah.
And the results of that were like a computer in effect, right? Not in architecture, because the connections between nodes in the Bitcoin network are just as slow as any other node in any other network, right? But as a group, as a whole, the Bitcoin towards a single purpose, the Bitcoin network computes at 100,000 times the world's fastest supercomputer. 100,000 times. And it's not even that big yet.
Yeah, and if only it was doing something besides making heat, right?
Yeah.
Boiling the ocean. No, I love it. And you know what? It's funny, Will, and I'd like to take just a second because I'm sure that a lot of people here, a lot of the people are still getting into crypto now, but you and I have been in for a really long time. And it was funny because somebody was asking me like, well, why are the graphic cards manufacturers, why are they not pitching more resources towards mining? And there's a lot of reasons for that, but like people don't remember back in 2012 and 2013 when the same shortages happened, but then all of a sudden the ASIC cards came out and it alleviated the GPU market of all that pressure. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Volta, the Titan Volta that NVIDIA just put out, is essentially the it's not really going to be used for gaming. It's mostly going to be used for AI applications. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean it's an AI chip. It does matrix calculations, right? So unless you use matrix calculations in graphics processing, which you do, like you use matrix calculations figuring out quaternions and whatnot. But uh, you're still it's still more efficient to do that with the custom GPU hardware that's built for that.
Exactly.
Excuse me. So yeah, the answer is the reason why they're doing that is to compete with the Google TPU. They see it as an actual market and for AI, and so like it outcompetes, according to their little thing, it outcompetes the gaming market. The AI market outcompetes the gaming market.
Sure as heck does.
And so they're like, well, let's start making chips for AI. And so that's what they're doing.
Special custom chips, and I'm wondering if the same thing is going to happen with. I'm really wondering if somebody's going to come out with a custom chip that does sort of the same thing that basically what NASIC does for SHA for all these script mining that have come out. I know that they're supposed to be resistant to having a specialized chip, but I'm just wondering because of the issues that we're seeing with supply right now, if maybe that's the way things are going to go.
Possibly, or I mean, why not just make it like have an alternate company making a GPU?
Yep.
That's exactly the same thing. If you can make a GPU in essence that does things the same, or at least offers the same API, so you can have the software.
Uh-oh. I have lost audio. Hold on, let me see if I can get it back. Will, we've lost audio. Hold on. Let me see if I can correct this. I can't hear anything anymore. I think that they can hear me, but I can't hear you, Will. I'm going to drop out of the call and get back in. You stay in it, please. Hey, we can hear you again, Will.
Yeah.
Yep, that was perfect.
Okay. I can't remember what I was talking about anyway. So.
It's fine. I was gonna give a check to see if we could get Jen in, but it doesn't look like she's here yet. But that's fine. Um, so can I I was wondering, and this is probably the most common question we get anywhere, Will, and so I'm wondering. It reveals an obvious misunderstanding, and so like the answer is just to educate. But
Right.
people always ask us to compare ourselves to different projects, and we're comparing a
Yeah.
graphic, but could you tell people how, for instance, Deep Brain Chain and Golem, or better yet, why don't we use Singularity? What
Okay.
can you go through how Singularity fits into us and how we fit into them?
Yeah, that's a great question, and
Mic
we're
off.
really excited about that. We there are in the public eye, they're our biggest competitor because they're probably the most public, well-known AI blockchain project, and so they're our biggest competitor. But at the same time, they're actually our biggest ally. Like in the public eye, they're our biggest competitor, but in reality, they're our biggest ally. And the reason why is because uh, when we originally architected Neureal, we recognized the need for a automated data plus algorithm marketplace. And if you look through our white paper, we talk about it in there. We're like, we need a marketplace, and this will help us in this and this and this way, right? So when you read through the white paper, you can see that in there, and we were going to create that. And so because there wasn't anything at the time, nobody had been talking about it, but we realized that there was a need for that. And so that is actually what Singularity Net is creating. They're creating that side of it, the place where you can coordinate data with people rather than just compete. So that was another question that people had about our platform. So I can answer two questions with one by talking about Singularity Net, because the question people had was, well, if everybody's just competing, nobody wants to share their data with everybody else, then how is that going to help the platform, right? On predictions. And we were like, well, we need a marketplace so people can actually buy and sell their data to each other,
Right.
and in an automated way. They don't have to go through, they don't have to figure it out. Like they could just they could even have an AI of their own that looks for sources of data, right, that are going to be useful. Like it can either actually look at Singularity Net's marketplace and be like, here's, hey, I see some data pop up over here. These guys are selling it. It's a great price, and I need that, somehow. And so it can grab that automatically and use it within its predictive algorithm. Or this is even more important, and something we thought realized at one point, and we talked to the guys over at hey Jordan, what was the who are the guys we really liked the AI stuff? The no the from back in the day that we talked to on the Numenta, yeah. I can't remember the name. So we actually sat down with them and talked to them, and one thing we presented to them and talked about was, like, you can, if you predict something, the output of that prediction can actually be useful as the input to another predictive system, right? So you're not sending the model, you're sending just the output of the prediction. Like, it's going to be, the price of gold is most likely this, so that's going to help figure out the price of Bitcoin, right? If there's a correlation. So if the price of gold is going to go up, maybe the price of Bitcoin is going to go down or something, right? Or whatever. And so you can, even though you're not predicting the price of gold on the Neureal network and you're not competing, you can sell the prediction of the price of gold to the guy who is trying to predict the price of Bitcoin, right? And you do that through a marketplace. And so that's what Singularity Net is creating, that marketplace. So we're really, really excited that they offloaded that from our blockchain, because what that
Heck
means
yeah.
is that we don't have to, number one, develop it, and number two, it doesn't clog up our network, so we don't have to have transactions with people sending data to each other on our blockchain, and we can have a more efficient, faster blockchain by reducing the things we have to handle on it. And so we can focus on our particular purpose and we can make it the most efficient and fastest blockchain possible for that purpose.
Fantastic. Hey, Will,
Scalable.
I just want to interrupt you for just a second to say something that I think is going to make you smile. We have the most viewers we've ever had on a Neureal live stream so far live. We've got 9 right now.
Sweet.
Yeah, I know.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
guys. Dr. Reefer's here. That's Pierre. He says hi, and so do a few of our moderators. Hi, guys. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you. If you have the opportunity and if you have questions right now, go ahead and type them out. And if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and give the video a like down there at the bottom. And if you're here and you haven't subscribed yet, you better hit that subscribe button as well. What else, Will?
That's it. I mean, the Singularity Net is awesome. We're really excited to be working with them. We've spoken with some of the guys there, and I'm really excited to hopefully get the chance. Me and Jordan both. Their main guy, Ben Grutzel, their main, brain trust or whatever. Ben Grutzel has been one of Jordan's. What? How do you feel about Ben Grutzel?
I just love the man.
He loves the man. He says. So we're really, he's in Hong Kong, so we're really excited to hopefully get the chance to go out there, collaborate with them. I'm super excited to chat with Ben about what we're doing, and it's really interesting that they picked out that particular part of our project. Nobody else has done that. Like nobody else that I know I'm aware of has done taken a piece of what we're doing and started implementing it.
Yeah, it's
So,
fantastic. Hey, can I ask you to shift that explanation a little bit, because Singularity is a perfect example. Why don't we look at one that's just slightly off? And I know the answer to this, but a lot of other people aren't. Could we look at how 2 separate projects would interact with us, and the first would be Golem, and the second would be Deep Brain Chain, which is essentially a twist on Golem.
Okay, so Golem, I'm aware of. I know what they're doing. They were one of the first ICOs, AI ICOs out there that did well. They're not AI particularly. So they're more of a general purpose compute platform. And so what they're doing is they're trying to have a decentralized system for compute itself. And they started out doing the transcoding. And so it was a decentralized way to transcode your video. So you basically send, so you basically send your video to their platform, and you get it transcoded back, and it happens on decentralized computers' processing power. So they're trying to decentralize processing power itself. So it's more general purpose. They were talking at the time about doing AI. They see AI as a potential for their platform. It's a general purpose AI. So they may have schemes and things to do, all sorts of efficiency stuff. But in the end, anytime you have anything general purpose, you're always going to not be as efficient as a single purpose platform.
Perfect. But if somebody wanted to, they could technically rent out general purpose compute space on Golem, upload their own predictive algorithm into that, if I'm understanding it correctly, and then they could point that towards Neureal and essentially have that be the equivalent of a cloud miner in other currencies in a way.
Yeah.
Now, Deep Brain Chain.
That's great.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty cool, huh? Deep Brain Chain is another interesting example of that. They are trying to do what Golem is doing, but they want to create a neural network using what Golem is doing instead of just general compute.
Oh yeah. So I read about them too. So their deal is that that they're trying to put models on the blockchain basically. So like I talked about before, so you have a model architecture and a standard, and you put that on the blockchain, and you share that, and you have those evolve over time somehow. So I'm not totally familiar with exactly how they're doing all that, but the idea is that they're kind of locked into the architecture that they come up with, sort of. If it's just a model description language, what they're doing, they still need to compute to process that, and I think they're including that as well. But a lot of people, they're just coming at it from a different angle. At the end, it fits the whole Golem thing where where they will be able to use that. People will be able to use that platform to compete on Neureal's competition platform. So um,
Yeah,
it's
and
like
can you explain why that would be beneficial for them to do?
it's a collaborative thing. So like Neureal's open to whatever. It's about the ongoing movement
Oh
of
yeah.
human effort towards combined with the machines towards uh, the purpose of prediction. So in the same vein with mining, it's the same thing. So there's all these people out there. I do it myself, and I know people. I'm doing it all the time. Like I know a lot of people that do it. They get their machine, they set it up, and they mess around with it. I spent like all night last night trying to get my one machine going with some GPUs mining Curecoin, because those are our guys too. So I
Oh
wanted to
yeah. By the way,
Curecoin dudes.
that's what my tower does all day now, Will.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Well,
to.
the great thing about that is that their best platform is NVIDIA, and so when I in the interim before we get into real, I'm like building up some NVIDIA cards and whatnot, and so that we can so we'll have some hardware to actually implement and develop and everything, and at the same time I can get return from that by helping out cure cancer with cure coin, so and folding coin.
I was just gonna say
So I'm pretty excited about
I put a sticker on my machine this morning, by the way. My wife printed this out for me. It says, "This machine pays me to cure cancer." Oh, so I've got a really good one from the audience, Will. Gary
Yeah.
DeMillo says, "Thoughts on Sophia? Publicity stunt or actually a look at the future?"
Oh man, that's why they did so well. People like drawn to robots. It's so anthropomorphic.
We need something to project on, Will.
Yeah. I swear I tell people I say the word AI, and almost everybody else but me pictures in their head a robot.
They're all thinking Sunny.
Yeah. It's great marketing. It's amazing marketing. It's like hey, uh, here it is. Like it's real. Like it's a thing you can relate to. It's like this isn't some ephemeral thing. And people are important. When they make decisions or they live their lives, it's so important for them to feel that, because that's what we do as we're good at as humans.
I also think it's really just amazing and speaks to some fun things about humans, how quickly we are to anthropomorphize robots. I've seen some studies
Yeah.
on that recently, how quick children are to empathize and anthropomorphize with non-living robots, as long as
Yeah.
they have just a few little characteristics.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The big eyes.
Yeah, the eyes were
I
a big
just want
thing.
to.
That one, I actually don't like that one. Can I be honest? That one
Yeah.
freaks me a little bit.
Does it?
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
slightly more friendly Eye of Sauron. Um,
I can't do that because I have two eyes. I can't make them one eye. Wait. No, I can't. Wait. No, I can't do it. Anyway.
All
Anyway,
right.
that the AI we're making is the actual AI. So the actual AI is the highest end, best algorithms that we have. Basically, the idea is that it's code that writes itself. So that's what AI is. It's code that writes itself. It's a software that writes itself, and um, and that's what it really is. Like uh, it's not like a machine. That's robots. That's like I don't know if I want to say the
No,
thing
I
I
mean,
always say about that here on the thing. Should I?
no, I
Like
mean,
this, there's a way easier way to make
yeah.
new intelligent robots
We
than
happen to have been doing
engineer
that.
them
We've been doing that for millennia
for
without any kind
millions
of
and
help. In
millions,
fact, only recent.
billions of years
Yeah,
we've been doing.
only recently over the last century have we figured out ways not to do that all the time.
That's
uh,
true. Yeah, we didn't have that before. I mean, well, there were ways.
Just a
people
few.
did know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you need if you need some more workers or whatever, why engineer those? Like we already make machines. We make huge trucks and airplanes and all sorts of stuff. We don't need to make more humans. And why make a new human in a machine? It doesn't make sense.
I
Why
mean, something.
constrict the machine to be the constriction in the
Yeah.
form of
You know what? That has always baffled me is the obsession with bipedal robots
robots?
specifically.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me from an engineering standpoint.
No, it's just we want to see them because we want to relate to them. It's and that's it
They'll make you
entirely.
dolls.
Yeah, well, and
Eh,
ultimately, if you're looking at robotics in relation to AI, what you have to remember is that if robots are anything to an AI, they're akin to a glove is to a human, or
Yeah,
or
that's
or,
true.
or actually more appropriately, a sock puppet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, yeah, it's always that, and like all the shows, they always end up the AI just becomes human anyway. So what's the difference? Becomes a human.
Yeah, my favorite AI disappears randomly. It's the most unsatisfying conclusion to an AI story I've ever heard.
Oh
The
really?
Moon is a Harsh Mistress is probably my favorite intelligent
Oh,
AI story, and
oh yeah.
he goes poof at the end. Not, like nobody ever realizes what happens. He either stops communicating with humans or just goes away, and it's very sad.
Huh. Oh,
So I got one question that you're probably the only person who can answer this, Will, and it's hard hitting and serious.
all right.
Why is the N backwards?
Seriously?
Yeah, somebody asked.
Uh,
Just
it
cuz
was just to be different. It was to be different. It's the same reason my hair is blue.
we like it.
Wasn't
That's
it?
about it.
It
Yeah.
was just to be different. It was like nobody done that. Nobody does that. Who does that?
We do. That's
Like
who.
no, I never saw that anywhere.
Yep, that's it. Hey, community guys, we've got a few minutes. Reach out now. Let me see how long we've been streaming here. We've been going for 50
It, we,
minutes.
we're coming up with a new logo, and we're probably going to turn it back around.
Yeah, again. It'll be the double flipped.
Yeah, it'll be back to the regular end. Now you see it. Now you don't. Wait,
Okay.
you still see it. Oh crap! But nope. Now it's different.
Shifting chord says he was wondering if that was just the light making your hair look blue. No, sir. No, sir. It's blue hair. Gotta
Nope.
have blue hair.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, I'm going to say one more time. Please, please, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, go over to Neureal, go to the Telegram group, and make sure that you get connected there. We want to hear what your vision is for Neureal. Specifically, as you start dreaming and you start hearing about what it's possible for the network to do, we desperately and deeply want to hear what you would do with it first. Because ultimately, that's what's going to happen with it, folks. So we are actually, I've said this before, but it's becoming more concrete now. The team's actually putting together some rules, and if just start getting your visions ready because we're going to be launching a competition, and the person with the best and grandest vision, we are going to be giving you the opportunity to have your prediction made by Neureal in a very awesome and public way. And that's all I'll say for now. Well, we've got another question real quick. What industries are paying the closest attention to AI right now?
Hmm. That's a good question.
I
That,
personally would say that if you want a really good example of who's looking at or who should be looking at AI right now, even if they're not, just know that like most of the really big companies have some sort of predictive algorithm running right now, whether it's a very sophisticated one or not. Basically, every
oh,
industry in the world can. But one of the really interesting ones that I've been looking at recently is the shipping industry. The shipping industry could use predictive AI specifically to be able to not only coordinate better, but to save ridiculous and massive amount of costs as they are able to avoid different changes caused by climate change itself, plus just weather events in the first place.
That's a good point. I think though that I think if they're asking if like who's actually using it today, that might be easier to answer.
That's probably true.
And that and that might tell us like who. Hey, there's Jen.
Hey, there's Jen.
Jen, you may actually have a better answer to this question than me.
You sure as heck would. Jen, this is a perfect segue. Welcome, welcome.
Yeah.
Your leather jacket looks fantastic still. We can't hear you
Your,
yet.
your mic's off. You hear us? I don't think she can hear us.
I don't know if she can either.
I can see her. Hi.
Hi, Jen.
Hi. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Oh, there you go.
Okay,
Try now.
now I have ears.
Woohoo.
All
There
right.
you go.
Hello.
Yay.
How are ya?
Technology, fantastic.
All right, Jen. It was a perfect time for you to get on because there's a question
Oh,
that
good.
you're the best suited to answer, and then we'll have you go into your little briefing
Fantastic.
real
Okay,
quick.
perfect.
They want to know what industries are paying the closest attention to predictive AI right now.
Healthcare, it's huge. HR has been the newest one that I've seen some of the best stats on. Human resources and really making sure they're getting hiring correctly. I think we'll see a lot of it come up in insurance. I think is going to be a big one. Underwriting, it has a lot of fallibility in that one. So I think we'll see a tipping point with that. They're not there yet. Insurance agencies are not quick to adopt that, but I think we'll see that come up a lot quicker here.
Hey, one thing about that, I just want to interject really quick, is that there's a company called HireVue, HIREVUE, and they are here based in Utah in Salt Lake City, and their actual product, and they've been doing this for about 3-4 years now, is exactly what you said about hiring. It's using AI to hire, to help people get good hires. So I know personally this company, and one of their head data scientists is one of the people that me and Jordan, I talked to him, like I personally talked to him a lot.
Sweet.
I mean, I have at least. His name's hey Jordan, what's his name again? What's Ben Taylor? Ben Taylor. So he's very outspoken. Ben Taylor. He does a lot of presentations, and he's one of our compatriots here as far as he knows about Neureal already, and that would be a really, really good segue into us actually creating something for that actual thing, and that's what they do. I mean, they've been doing it for a while. Is that exact thing, and I think that's why it's kind of marketplace, because of them.
Well, hey guys.
Well, and circling back to what you just said, do you feel like they have a lot of human bias being factored into what they're doing now, that they could shift that to where they're letting the AI do it on its own and probably get better results out of that?
It's not a question. That's not a question, because they already are doing that. That is the foundation of their company. Is using AI without bias to figure it out.
Perfect.
Already.
Awesome. All right.
Like the difference is, and Ben is brilliant. Like, but the difference is that, and in fact, he's the one that comes to me when I've talked to him. He's talked to me, and he's like, "There's not enough data." The thing I was talking about before, like, there's not enough access to data. Can you help me with that? He said to me before. So this close interaction with someone with a company that's actually out there trying to do exactly that, has helped mold Neureal and helped us, guide us to where we're going. And so we would solve some of those. We would take their accuracy, even though they're using AI and they're having great results, and it is unbiased, and that's exactly what's happening. They are a proof of AI itself, and he talks a lot about that, in presentation, tries to help people believe in AI itself. It's still hard, like one of the hardest things in data science is to get people to actually believe the results, and and that's a hard call for them and their company, for their main purpose of the company. But they're doing well and they're succeeding at it.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, hey, real quick,
That's
we've got
fantastic.
roughly 5 minutes left. So, Jen,
Yes.
do you want to take 4 of those? And I got to finish this real quick. Pierre is actually in the chat with us right now. Hi, Pierre, again. And he'd like to know if either Will or Jen would like to come on his show, because it starts literally as soon as we're done here. So if either of you'd like to do that, yeah. If not, we understand. It's a pretty late day today.
I know it's already nearly my bedtime. I get to go write press releases for the rest of the evening, and art. That's my plan for the rest of this evening. So I'm gonna
Pass.
Unfortunately not get tonight.
All right. Well, maybe I might be able to, Pierre. If nobody else, I will. How about that? Now go ahead, Jen. Why don't you give us that? Jen's going to give us an update on the articles that Neura's been featured in this week, the articles that she's writing, and the articles we'd like to see you guys write. Darn it.
Yes. Okay. So just a couple of quick ones, and we really appreciate when the community pops these up in the Telegram chat. We had a couple show up this week. There was one list that got curated that were a couple hundred of the thought leaders right now in crypto. I got added to that list, and then we had a couple things have come up in Forbes lately that I'm following up with a couple of those writers to see if they can do some follow-up articles that'll feature us. And there were a couple Reddit posts that we're going to follow up with on those and data and what that looks like. One of the things that really helps us is if you guys as the community see articles either featuring Will or I or Neureal, don't assume we've seen them. A lot of them are popping up really fast, especially on LinkedIn, that I'm not always catching. And we'd love to be able to reach out to those authors and see if they'll either do a complete piece on us or a follow-up piece. So if you guys see those, definitely point them out to us or shoot them over to Kyler. He usually tries to keep a list compiled for us. And then also anything that you guys see or hear of that you want us to write about, or if you want Will to dig down into the weeds on some of these topics, we're happy to create more articles on those. Like I said, I'm probably going to spend the rest of tonight and most of tomorrow writing a couple articles that we've kind of had languishing out there that I need to get done. So that's kind of it for that.
Roger Dodger. All right, folks, that's actually going to be pretty much the end of it. I'm going to let Will and Jen say goodbye, and then I'm going to wrap it up.
Okay,
right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. We'll see you later.
All right. Thank you, folks, so much for being here. All 10 of you this evening. That's the most we've ever had during a live stream so far. We're very excited for it.
Double digits.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Double digits. From 4 to double digits. I love it. So thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you get into that subscribe. And then make sure you go directly after this and head into the Telegram community so that you can get the links to those things that I was talking about before. Love you all so much. We'll see you next week.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Night.
Night, night.